Hi, this is Heath Ransom of Grace, Truth, and Torah / Law. And today I want to do a illustration of intelligent design mathematics because I just watched a video on this core mathematics and kind of left me flabbergasted at what we're doing. And since we believe our Creator spoke things into existence, He's pre-existing. He's omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-present. He's before all things, Colossians 1:16 and 17. I want to show you that in science that they have these experiments, and they're called the EPR and the BEC experiments, and Einstein was involved, and they found that information travels faster than light speed. But there's a framework for light speed that all follows laws, like electromagnetism, which is how light speed travels in free space. It travels perpendicular at 90-degree angles, so there's an actual framework for that. Um, Everything is intelligent and ordered. But in physics, in science, we get into these realms of atomic and subatomic. Atomic is this physical world where we can tend to make sense of things, where the subatomic is this realm of where we get into probability. And there was always been this big issue between probability and predictability, especially when it comes into the quantum world. And is it a particle? Is it a wave? Now we're looking for the God particle and all these different arenas. We have to learn how to organize information. We have these experiments proving that information is pre-existing. Yet, we don't use it for anything. If we know that if we travel at the speed of light and if we reach light speed, we would have infinite mass and time would stand still, basically we'd be eternal. So the faster you accelerate towards light speed, time slows down. At the speed of light, you would have access to eternity, to everything. All information is existing there. It is a singularity. At the speed of light, space and time exist at a singularity. That's why we frame everything in space and time to the speed of light. But yet we can't account for this information that's pre-existing. It is an intelligence because our Creator spoke things into existence. So therefore, just like we have this framework of light speed must be intelligent. This framework that it travels on, electromagnetism, it has to be ordered. That language between you and me, sometimes that we think is space is never empty. It's filled with an intelligence. It's filled with a living language, an ordered language. Nobody was ever going to want to really get to, because our Bible tells us that God is light. Light is alive. It's a living force. It's a living intelligence. It travels with electromagnetism. Now, Einstein was trying to unify electromagnetism and gravity. These are the last two known forces that they've been trying to unify, and physicists have been trying to unify it, and they haven't been able to. We have to get to how to organize information and the intelligence of that from an infinite realm to a finite reality. And we haven't yet done that because we remove intelligent design. I'm going to show you some cool little things that you can show your kids, show people at school, show the youth, maybe show some younger generations that we need to bring intelligent design back. We're the head and not the tail. And this is a very important study. We're going to, later in later videos, we're going to do the Hebrew alphabet and more advanced studies on alphanumerics and gematria and stuff like that, and Titzeruf and combination, and how to start seeing how our Bible was set up. Now, I want to show you intelligent design mathematics, but I'm going to take you to something called digital routing, or you may have heard it before. It's called Gematria or Gematria, some people call it. And this is where we take numerical values, but we add them and we get a specific number. And I'm going to show you there's an orderly language in there. But what this will really allow us to do, and what you'll come to see, is it allows us to go from an accelerated frame of reference to a non-accelerated frame of reference. And what I mean by that, it allows us to go from the world of motion to non-motion, or finite to infinite. Now, we believe that our Creator is the same at rest or in motion. He never changes. We believe that about our Creator. An easy way for me to show you this on a scale is if I give you a brief teeter-totter. And we have this teeter-totter that moves. Action, reaction. Light, darkness, day, night. This is what a square is. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. It allows us to balance a language from this hand to this hand. But it allows us, if I did that, 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. It allows me to put things into an order. This is when we get into the inverse square law, the law of falling bodies in physics. These are laws and rules that light, electricity, magnetism, sound, everything follows and travels. The formulas for electricity, magnetism, and gravity also follow these rules. But we haven't done anything with them. We use them as an accelerated frame. We haven't took them to a non-accelerated and infinite frame. There's a gap in mathematics. We've missed something, and we need to code back. Now, when you get into this digital routing or gematria, I believe they use it at some points in cryptography and code cracking. It gets into very advanced levels of learning here. What I'm going to show you is just some little puzzles that you can think about. Now, you're going to see something here. You may not understand what it all is, but it's all intelligent. See, we need to learn how to organize information. Okay? And in doing that, let's start with this. Okay? I want you guys to think about music and tuning forks. Okay? Because there's this little saying in science. Whatever happens to this particle and this particle, even if once they were intertwined, though they be separated to different parts of the galaxy or universe, what happens to that particle will instantly happen to that particle faster than light speed. Now think about that. It's an intertwining of information. It's called informational resonance. We need to learn how to organize this and get to it. And we can't be double-minded. We can't have all these schisms, envies, and strifes. We have to learn how things were spoken to existence and use the language of creation to access those things. So my tuning forks here, let's say I have a C. And this one's 48 octaves above. And it makes it also a C. But what happens to this tuning fork, and when I vibrate, it will instantly happen to this tuning fork. Even though it's a different octave, it will happen. It will cause it to vibrate or cause it to be in tune. We need to learn how to do that more specifically mathematically. Now there's a great way to do this. I challenge you to study casting out nines, it's called. But I'm going to show you this simple little thing. Now, in language at one time, and they still do, and this is how I use things for several different things that I do, especially when I want to organize information, because information is pre-existing, and just because man tries to organize it in space and time to his arrangement, doesn't mean it's correct. Doesn't mean that they have Jesus. Doesn't mean that they know exactly what's going on. They could still have a veil on. Now remember, the veil remains if we don't have Christ. We don't have Yeshua. Okay? So what I want to show you here is this. Let me take the Hebrew. I'm going to do a Hebrew word for a minute. Now this language is alphanumerical. Greek is alphanumerical. Arabic is alphanumerical. Okay? This is a word, well, let's do one that everybody's familiar with. Let's do the word Moses. Because I'm pretty sure that Christians and Jews and Muslims all can understand and believe Moses. They can get that picture in their mindset. So I'm going to use the word Moshes. Moshe. Mem, Shin, Hey. And I'm going to give you something, this is what we call alphanumerics. Now, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, this is numerology. This is New Age. This is a cult. No. This is how you break down words into vibration or frequency. Now, if you don't have an order of how time works and history and how patterns and cycles work or how the design of language is set up, it's very easy to deduce that. If someone tells you that and you trust them and your elder, your pastor, and they never learned to get to that knowledge, it can automatically become defensive. And the biggest one that I hear a lot is, well, what does that have to do with salvation or deliverance? It doesn't, but it's edifying and building, and it has a skill and it's a knowledge. And it allows me to be built up in my relationship with my Creator. It allows me to see how He organized things and put things together. I don't have to just feel it in my spirit. I don't have to just have faith. I can have faith with works, with action, because what your works are is being who you were really created to be. That's what you learn to come to be. Now, Moshe, and I'm going to show you just how to take this into simple mathematics. Okay? Moshe is the 13th letter of the Hebrew. So in alphanumerics, 1 plus 3, it works on a decimal system. It goes ones, tens, hundreds through the letters of the alphabet. Now, they try to do this with your numerology readings, or they try to do this with the English language, and there's many people are convinced that it works for that language. I use the creation language. Hebrew is to a people set apart. It isn't because you're Jewish that you're Hebrew. It's someone that's crossed over or is set apart from a system of oppression, bondage, false truths, teachings. But it's the language of creation. Our Creator was a Hebrew speaking. Now, many are going to say, "Oh, that's how are you going to share that with a Muslim? How are you going to share that with Christians and a lot of different areas that don't like Jews, or Hindus and Chinese? Oh, that's racism. That's stereotyping. All languages and all beliefs, they all lead to the same road in the end." Well, great. That's fine if you want to believe that, but that's not what the rules of nature and science teach us, and that's not how it was designed. So if you would like to believe that, you can remain ignorant. Okay? But I'm going to show you a way to get out of ignorance. Because mathematics, believe it or not, is a universal language. It is a language that you can look and prove and speak and do for yourself. But nature is also a universal language. That's why He created it. So no matter how we try to twist or change things or reorganize things, it's still there. You can still see it. It's still existing. Now, the word Moses, it is the 13th letter. So it is the word mem. They have symbols and descriptions. It's the 13th letter. 1 plus 3 is 4. So this would be the numerical value 40. Okay. This is Shin. Its numerical value is, it is the 21st letter. And it is the tooth. It means tooth. And its numerical value is 300. Now this is the letter Hey. It is the 5th letter. Its numerical value is 5. Now what they do is they take this 300 plus 40 plus 5 and you get 345. But they're not done with it then. Then they add 3 plus 4 is 7. Plus 5 is 12. And then they take, plus 5 equals 12. Then they're not done yet. You take this 1 plus 2 then because it's 12. And you get this result that is 3. Now you say, what does that have to do with anything in organizing information? Here's how we do it. Now, the beginning there was 345. So if there's any words that have 345, what that will do is they will share a agreement and a relationship. So if we get other words that have that value, they're on the same vibration or frequency. This is how you break down. See, this is spoken words of creation. So we're breaking those words down into frequencies, down into vibrations. And it actually works. And you can actually get designs and patterns on this on a deeper level. You can see how it's organized because it makes beautiful shapes and patterns. Now, this is neat. And it's very, very exceptional. And let's take it a step further now. So this 345 added to a 3. So I'm going to put this 3 here. But this is where I'm going to show you about what 9s do in mathematics. Now, if I add 9 to this, plus 9, it will become 12. Okay? If I add 9 to this, 12 plus 9, it becomes 21. 21 plus 9 becomes 30. And then we have 39. Now I'm adding 9 to each. These are all separated by 9s. Okay? 39. Then the next one will be 48. Now eventually, I'm going to get to this 345 in this combination, in this level. Okay? You can do this with any digit and add 9 to it. And you can start to add these over like we're going to do right now. And you're going to be able to see that there is a specific pattern here. Okay? We don't have to do this one. 3 plus 0 is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 0 is 3. 3 plus 9 is 12. But 1 plus 2 is 3. 4 plus 8 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, remember what I told you about information and pre-existing. But yet now I've taken these different parts, these different vibrations, these different nine-taves, this different quantum, and I put these into an organized harmonic, in-tune resonance of information. Now words would start to go in here that had gematria values or digital rooting values. We would start to align information. This is how you learn to start accessing vibration states, excitation states. You would probably call that in chemistry. How things rotate and how they oscillate and how they move. But we're going to do this with language now. But we're actually doing it in mathematics. This is a beautiful organization of how to start. Now, you might say, well, that's so technical. How can I teach that? How can I share that? Well, add 9s to it. Okay? This unlocks the infinite realm. This is what this mathematics does. And there's a lot more to it. But let's say I had the number 6, or let's do number 7. Well, I'm going to add 9 to that. Well, it becomes 16. I'm going to add 9 to that. It becomes 25. I'm going to add 9 to that. It becomes 34, 43, 52, 61. I'm adding 9s. Now if I add these all the way across, you will see 1 plus 6 is 7. 2 plus 5 is 7. 3 plus 4 is 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. 5 plus 2 is 7. 6 plus 1 is 7. We have an informational tuning. This is the world of acceleration. This is non-acceleration. We have specific points that we can take everything to in space and time. Now, when you get into electromagnetism and the speed of light in this framework, these digits all work for electromagnetism traveling perpendicular at 90-degree angles. And we're going to get into that in a future video where I'm going to show you how to fold a paper from infinite to finite reality. And we're going to go all dimensional to 4D. And then we're going to go through and we're going to learn how to label that paper and prove that everything was spoken to existence. But yet it was spoke using 22 letters, the Hebrew, forwards and backwards, the beginning and the end. And I'm going to show you that true pi is 22 divided by 7, because you can prove that, by using the inverse square law and the law of falling bodies. Man's pi violates the inverse square law and the law of falling bodies. Remember, things are organized inside of space and time. Our Creator is perfect. He's ordered and organized. He didn't create a system of Babel. He's not the author of confusion. The reality is do we have the belief, the faith, the emunah, the steady and steadfastness to go there, to get there? Now, how these would work in a simple division problem. Now watch this. This is where you start to get into purity and pure mathematics. Let's say that I had 28, and I'm going to divide it by 9. Now this is called casting out 9s. Now I know that 9 goes into 28 3 times, and that makes 27, and my remainder is 1. But I know that I bring that up, but it will repeat 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And I know that this works just because it's 9 plus 9 plus 9 equals 27. And this is my 1. So, but I can add this. 2 plus 8 is 10. And 1 plus 0 is 1. So I already know my remainder is going to be 1. But see, this isn't all jargon. It's not 1, 6, 5, 8, 3, 2. Now, how do I make sense of that and organize that? Now, there's a way to do it if we add that and we get into this. This is why if we were to get into cryptography and codes, we would start to get into something called scalar and vector mathematics, where we would be able to take this and find the predictable variables that go into that on a specific scalar and vector coordinate system. Now, this isn't a mathematics that they use. Now, when we use mathematics, and this is where I want to take you guys with this, I challenge you guys to make a multiplication chart. Okay? Now, the purpose of making the multiplication chart is not that, oh my gosh, why do I have to multiply stuff together? But after you multiply everything, now, multiply. And make a grid, let's say 1 to 30. To 30 times 30, which is 900. But then I want you to go through every single digit in there. Let's say you find 38 in there, or you find 56, or 45 in there. I want you to go to every digit, 128. And I want you to go add them. 3 plus 8 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. 5 plus 6 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. 4 plus 5 is 9. 128. Well, this is 2 plus 8 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. I didn't mean to get all those 2's in there, but those 2's are in there. But go through the entire multiplication chart and add everything. And what you're going to see is, you're going to see patterns in there. You're going to start to see organization. Now, to really understand what a multiplication chart is, you need to study the inverse square law and the law of falling bodies. And what that does is it allows us, it's like a pendulum. Okay? What's true on this side is true on this side. But the pendulum, and especially what I was telling you about with squares, it allows us to take this balance beam. But once I multiply 1 by 1, or 2 by 2, or 3 by 3, or 4 by 4, I have this center of this balance beam again. And then I'll start to have these squares. And then we're going to close here. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. Now, this is the center of a multiplication chart. So over here is this or this. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. What's true on this side is true on this side. See, this is the center of our balance beam now. That's what it really is. But what I want you to do is I want you to start adding all these. 1 plus 6 is 7. 2 plus 5 is 7. 3 plus 6 is 9. See, these are going to stay 1, 4, 9, because you don't have to add them. 4 plus 9 becomes 13. 1 plus 3 is 4. 6 plus 4 becomes 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. And you'll start to see, look what it did. 1, 4, 9, 7. Oh, 1, 4, 9, 7. It inverses. Now you see these two 7's here. Well, when we complete the other side of the multiplication chart, it would be 4 times 5. 4 times 5. 2 plus 0 is 2. You're going to see this 22 divided by 7 here. These are actual laws in science. But they didn't use them to get to infinite and to access the speed of light. And to do that, we need to get to the electromagnetic framework. And I'll have to show you how to fold a piece of paper. But for now, I want everybody just to be able to see that mathematics can be intelligent and ordered. Here's an example. I have 22 bones in my skull. That's 7 attached from my neck to here. This is where consciousness is contained. The circle formula for pi, 22 and 7. Your chromosomes on your body, 22XX, for female, 22XY for male. Now, the 23rd chromosome decides if it's going to be male or female. But those come together for creation. Think about that. Now, the Hebrew letters, he spoke and he created. And God said in Genesis 1, God said, well, he spoke. What did he speak? There's 22 letters in the Hebrew. We are co-creators. When we speak, we create. If anybody wants to do a study on the words and what we create, there's a book called Hidden Messages of Water by Masaru Emoto. I challenge you guys to study and check that out. It's a beautiful, beautiful text and book about, they have a rice experiment, but they also have experiments on your speech and water and what it does and the patterns that right words make beautiful patterns, wrong words make distorted babble patterns. You can't even comprehend them. And get back to that focus. But this core mathematics that we're using, we need to take kids to intelligent design mathematics. What an easy way to show them, well, let's take a number and add it. Well, why is it organized like that? Well, there's a lot of rules in physics and science and mathematics, that lead to that. But once we show our kids, hey, a creator created everything, he spoke it, it's ordered. So now we have a foundation. So everything we can take to the middle. We don't have to say, well, this and this and that. We can always organize things. Mathematics can be organized. It can be fun. It's relevant today. We need to teach kids to have a passion and a desire to learn about intelligence and about order and about creation. Because this leads to the future of all the energy technology that we'd like to do. It leads to the future of cures for diseases. It leads to the future for organizing the world and the keys for prophecy in certain areas. This is a blessing. These are a part of our inheritances and our birthrights as children, as sons, as co-inheritors. We don't have to let the world dictate what's being taught. We can stand up and rise up and teach the true precepts. Now, when we get into our deeper levels of Hebrew studies, we'll get into this. I hope this helps. There's a lot of meat here, but there's some simple precepts. Don't think of it as numerology. Okay? Our Bible is full of numbers. We have a book of numbers. There's 12, 7, 40, 7s, 3s. They're all over in the Bible. It's not grasping at something and trying to make it work. It's learning how it's organized. And, our Creator spoke and He created. How many of us believe, I believe we're hindered in our bondages and things that we're still doing out of order to get to this level of thinking and comprehension, to be able to speak and create. Because I know in my personal life I am. But I believe we're heading towards it. I believe God is calling out His people. And I believe whoever is seeing this video, this is for you. You're being separated. You're being called out. And this is a great journey to be on. But it's also a great responsibility. I pray you're blessed with this, brothers and sisters. I love you. There's so much more to this, but I'm going to keep it short. Shalom.